What are your top 3 tips for small to medium enterprises, especially when using cloud?
I have had a ransomware attack and I can't access anything. Increasingly, I see in high-tech startup companies, there are employees who come in with the idea of stealing it.
Oh,
Now, how do you find it out?
today's episode is about cybersecurity, and we have an expert with us. Today we have Sridhar Parthasarathy, who is a CEO of Purple Team Cybersecurity Consultants LLP. So Sridhar, let's begin with your journey, like from initial days of working on big corporate giants and then slowly moving on to entrepreneurship and starting Purple Team.
So I started with Tata after I did my master's. Now it is no longer existing. It's become TCS. So I worked there for about 8-9 years, and then I shifted to Wipro. So in Tata Innosis, I was doing like Oracle Financials, that kind of work. In Wipro, I shifted from Tata Innosis to do something in the telecom space. I was an experiment for Wipro. From there, I went to Tech Mahindra, which is again, it was a very transformative kind of this thing. So that is the corporate side of this thing. After that, I shifted into entrepreneurship. So what I did was, I and my friend, we created a pitch deck and we went to multiple companies to say that this is a line of business we will create for you. And you give us a share of value created in addition to a salary. The salary we were okay with, as long as it was paying the bills, it was fine. We didn't have a problem about how much the salary was. So that was the model. We went and pitched it in 3-4 companies. I don't think I want to name the company at this point. So 3-4 companies were interested. One was a large company which did not have a telecom presence. The other was a company which was in telecom but did not have this kind of a service-oriented pitch. And third was a testing company which was very big not big. They had a lot of experience in the Middle East, but didn't have a clue about Europe or America's kind of this thing. So it's like you understand the nuances. We went and pitched all these 3 companies. We were very interested. We picked the company. So essentially, it was not quite entrepreneurship in the traditional model, but it was, to an extent, it was an entrepreneurship. All 3 companies, I was not part of their standard recruit into the executive management or any of those things.
So on entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship, yeah.
What's the difference?
So I'll try and explain it to you. Entrepreneurship is essentially you quit a company, start another company, fund it yourself or find funding, and you're on your own. Entrepreneurship is you do similar things under the aegis of a corporate. Like, for example, let's take Tech Mahindra. In Tech Mahindra, I would be allowed to create my own. They'll give me funding, actual like VC kind of funding. Now, this was I did it in 2011 or in that range. So the entrepreneurship concept is you are an entrepreneur within an organization. So not all the normal rules apply to you. You have recruitment flexibility. You have budget flexibility. You decide on how to do the sales, all those things. But you are part of that organization in terms of the card will say Tech Mahindra, for example.
So whatever you build, the IP remains with the parent organization.
That is a part of the contracting. In this instance, more than the IP, this was not a product we were building. While products can come under this thing, I was building a business line.
Okay.
So the business line will remain with them. We had some very complicated formula to figure out the value generated, and we had a share of the value. The share of the value, we had the advantage of, or we had the ability or the option to either take it as shares in the company, shares in the special vehicle. If we had created a special vehicle, shares of that, or cash. We had all 3 options. It was at the time of payout, this thing. So that's why it's on the entrepreneurship, right? So you have some operational freedom, you have good backing. Hopefully, you have decent money supply, which is committed upfront.
And is it good to say that it is less risk than entrepreneurship?
See, at the point I thought so. Looking back, I may change my opinion mildly, not strongly, but yeah, there is still risk. Different kind of risk is what I would say. It's something you need to try out, right? You're
Yeah,
not dedicating your existing key resources, right? You've got somebody with the same kind of mindset from outside, and they're taking all the risk. So from the organization perspective, it made sense because then I was assured of a minimum salary. I'm not so. My children were all in school at that time and stuff like that. So I don't have to worry about who's going to pay the bills. It's not
exactly.
pure
Exactly.
entrepreneurship in that sense. So definitely the risk is less, but you're taking a reputational risk because after that you become, if you fail in it, it is difficult. At least in those days in India, it was difficult to get back into corporate. So,
Okay. So moving on, Sridhar, like initial days challenges when you were setting up Purple Team Consultants, right? So one thing, cyber security, not many people know about it, right? So there was a less awareness couple of years back.
correct,
And second thing is, how do you find people who are experts in this area who are going to help you as become part of your team, right?
correct. Those are
So
two this thing. In between, Purple Team is actually second or third of my ventures, depending on how you count it. What I talked about as the entrepreneurship, if you count it as one, there's the third, otherwise it's the second. So after that, I joined with another friend of mine, three of us. We created a company called Last Mile Consultants.
okay,
Okay, which was focusing on testing primarily. Okay, and so I was responsible for the revenue generation, etc. So at that time, I figured out that this cybersecurity is an area that is going to come up, and it is an area that is ripe for even a smallish company to crack because everybody is starting on a reasonably level playing field. Nobody has any major skills. Nobody has any major uh, assets that they can hawk. So cybersecurity, we identified it as this thing. I wanted to be very. Purple Team itself is coming from two cybersecurity concepts. I'm sure you understand that. So there are what are known as red teams and there are blue teams in any cybersecurity setup. Okay,
okay.
fairly complex setup. You will have or scaled setup. You will have that. Like a red team is essentially the attackers trying to find holes in your defense.
So basically, they are kind of hackers, right? Who are going to break your system.
Ethical factors that you pay.
Ethical hackers. Yeah.
Okay, and they are employees. Could be
Okay.
that you have paid somebody outside, but but bounty all those things. But typically they are your employees. They are trying to keep finding vulnerabilities and exploiting them. The blue team, obviously, the flip side of it, which is they have to set up their defenses in such a way that one, it's difficult to penetrate, and if it is the standardness thing of identify, protect, detect that this thing. So if somebody penetrates, they find it as soon as possible. Okay. So since we were offering both red and blue services, we were purple. That is why Purple Team comes. Uh,
Okay. Okay. So that is how the name came out.
that's
Red
why the
and
name.
blue, and in between that is purple.
Yeah, if
Right.
you mix red and blue, you know that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You get
Yeah.
purple,
Perfect.
violet in that this thing.
Amazing.
I got
Amazing.
the domain name for Purple Team, so it just called Purple Team.
That is a big issue when you start something new. You should
No, no,
you
first
get
you
an
have
amazing name, but then there's no domain available for it,
correct,
right?
correct. Yeah, first you have to book the domain, then we'll worry about what the business is. In fact, I still run. I mean, I still own some 10, 15 different domain names, uh, which I don't want to sell. At the same time, I don't know what else. And the stuff like idiots.com, IT idiots, is idiots. So
Oh, quite funny name. So Sridhar, moving on to simplify cyber security for us, especially for small to medium enterprise? Like how a layman could understand what is cyber security and how important it is.
Okay, I'll give you two kinds of ways of looking about it.
Yeah.
Okay. One is what the NIST framework is. Right, NIST is a National Institute of Security Technology. So NIST gives you a framework which says you identify, you detect, you respond, you prevent. Okay, so this is basically a broad kind of a framework which has nowadays they've added governance also into that framework. It's like a 5 circle thing. Now you need to know among the various things that you have, what is attractive to an outside person, right? What will somebody gain by stealing it from you, so to say, stealing it in quotes, right? That is your asset that you need to protect. In a small organizations, this thing typically it will be your IP. Without this thing, if you are particularly in a product, this thing, your people, if you are in services, and most importantly, your reputation. These three are the most important for a small this thing. Once you get to a medium size, I would define it. I don't know what you define it as. I define it as once you've grown beyond 50 people, then
Okay.
you are definitely a medium size.
Medium
So the
size.
complexities change. When I was in corporate, I used to think a medium size is like 1,000 people organization. Right? So once you know what needs to be protected, okay, there are two major tools you have that you can use to protect it. One is the technology based tools. You could set up starting from a antivirus on your laptop and this thing to something more sophisticated, which will go all the way up to behavioral based the intrusion IDS IPS systems and stuff like that. That's all technology based. In my very considered opinion, that probably contributes to about 20-25% of your defense, even though it will be consuming the maximum in terms of your budget.
Oh, okay.
People is the other piece.
And probably the most important piece.
The most in any organization, I don't care the size about the size of the organization. That is the weakest link, and extremely vulnerable are the small companies because Piyush, you're a CEO. It's your company. Your wife is your partner. Fine. Hopefully, this too, nothing much will happen. Then you will have one or two people who are the first employees that you convince to join.
Yeah.
Right? And they are going to be as knowledgeable about your company and its secrets, including your IP. Yes, we all think we are good managers. We all think they're all friends. But everybody has different drivers. Right?
Yeah.
There could be people have their drivers. They want to go back to you're in Pune or Nagpur. They want to go back to Bangalore. So they'll up and go. That's it. At the end of the day, if it's a push comes to shove, you are an employer. You're not family. Okay. So they will go. So the IP works with them. So that's one part of it. Second is there's no malice in this. This is external circumstances. Second could be malice, where you unknowingly even mistreated them. Or they think they have an excellent idea that they can cash out or monetize on. So that kind of malice is a separate problem. Increasingly, I see in high-tech startup companies, there are employees who come in with the idea of stealing IP.
Oh, okay.
Okay. They are sent by another company to steal ideas from this company.
Oh my God.
Okay. Now, how do you find it out? I don't know.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
as a,
absolutely.
as a small company, you have to trust your employees.
Yeah, and apart from doing a normal verification of the person, like he has whatever documents he has presented and all that stuff, That's a basic background check every
Yeah,
company
that is
does.
750 rupees from anybody
Yeah,
today.
it's absolutely. But then how do you identify that this guy is coming from my competitor and trying to
It is
steal
tough.
my...
It is very tough to do that. Uh, I find typically in the early stages until the time you come to the what we saw talked about in terms of 50 people strength, it is better either to get smart freshers or go purely with references.
Okay.
Okay. And the other issue is also going to be as a startup, you're not going to, unless you've got your mezzanine funding or Series A funding, you're not going to be cash rich. Somebody to come and join you, unless you're in services company. If you're doing a services startup, it's a slightly different ball game. There you can do the arbitrage and have some cash to hire people. But in for a product kind of a company, that's going to be much, 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 much more difficult. You need to convince a guy to come and join you, essentially on a dream. What are you going to say? I'll give you 10% of my company. Come and be my chief architect. And it is your convincing of that guy saying that 10% is going to be worth 10 million. So therefore, take 1 lakh today, where you're drawing 6 lakhs a month.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, that's the sale we all do
That's
as
the say we all do. Yeah, absolutely.
CEOs of. I mean, once you are reasonable position at cash, this thing slightly changes, but in essence, it doesn't change. As for until you are in Series B, you are essentially trading current for future.
Okay. Yeah.
Correct? You are going to
Agreed.
say, boss, you take this small hit in your salary. TK, you don't buy the BMW now, you buy it next year. But you can
Yeah.
buy a Rolls Royce if you come with me. That's
Yeah.
what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, see, the
That's the
point is you have to
easiest.
believe it. It's not that you're
Yeah.
chuma saying. Right?
Absolutely.
So you
Absolutely.
believe that. So the point, coming back to what you started, people are going to be very important. Not just to run your business, from a cyber security perspective also. Because you can't run a small organization or a medium organization by keeping secrets.
Yeah.
Right? People will not pull together if the boss man knows everything and the other people do only what they are told. You're not going to build an organization at scale. And particularly in the tech sector, it's not going to scale. So your people are going to be important. They are going to share your have your secrets.
Yeah.
How are you going to protect them? So in last mile, we had a tagline which is still applicable in my opinion, which is that in God we trust, rest we test. Uh,
In God we trust and rest we test. Okay. Yeah,
okay,
but it's quite risky, initial days में ऐसा होता है कि people join you with full enthusiasm and all, and then as soon as the business starts to grow, they start seeing that there's a lot of value added in the business, but maybe they are not getting that value for which they have
correct,
done the hard work, right? Now, as a business owner or as an entrepreneur, what type of safety nets I can apply to cater to this situation? Because this is tricky. You cannot judge what the other person is going to respond based on what rider, right?
correct.
At that
Yes,
point.
it is difficult. It is always a soft problem. My personal style has always been almost extreme transparency. Even with my children, I do that. Where I typically, if I am not going to tell you, I'll tell you, I won't tell you. Right?
Okay.
So that you know that there's no, I'm not hiding it. I'm not telling you. That's all.
So I'm going to say this is something I'm not going to tell you, right? This is
Correct.
not,
That this is not
you're,
required for you to know.
yeah,
For whatever, if I can give a justification, I'll give them a justification saying that ये नहीं हो रहा है, बाद में बोल.
sure.
ठीक?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I almost my entire career as a manager, I have been extremely transparent. Anybody, when I set a target, when I set this thing, I've always told them the exact status and why I am doing something. And they have every right to question me. That I've also told. I always tell that you have every right to question me. You have a right to expect an answer. but you have no right to think that I will follow your suggestion.
Okay.
I will hear you. I've considered it and I've taken a decision. Once I've taken a decision, that's it. You don't revisit it. Right? In Tamil, there is I don't know if you have known, you might not know. There's a very old poet called Thiruvalluvar.
Okay.
He has written something called Tirukkural, which is 1330 couplets, two lines like haiku. And it talks about a lot of things in life. Okay. It is divided broadly into, Aram Porul Inbam, essentially like, dharma, commerce, economics, and sex. Okay. It broadly talks about these three things. So one of his couplets, Kural is எண்ணி துணிக கருமம் துணிந்த பின் எண்ணுமம் என்பது இழுக்கு. This is Tamil. What it means is you do a lot of research before you commit to something. But once you've committed and begun a project, don't keep revisiting your assumptions. That
Okay.
should be done before you start. Not after you start. After you start, it's only execution. That's precisely what Ram Charan also talks about in his book as execution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once execution is clear, you should execute. There's nothing to think about after that. It's
Right.
only execution.
All of the thinking and brainstorming and everything needs to happen before, not
Correct.
while executing it.
Not during the So the same funda I apply with people. That transparency, the deliberations, the why I pick a strategy is reasonably transparent to people. I've always found people are much lesser than what we think they are. Right? They normally respond well to trust. They normally respond well to. There will be some people who are not. That's where the test bit comes in.
Yeah.
Right? You at every once in a while you have to test. Make sure that you're still trustworthy.
Yeah. You cannot be complacent if, like, say, they have spent many years with you. So you have to keep testing that,
Correct.
trust
Testing
that is
and
being built.
be alive to the fact. See, you can only be betrayed by somebody whom you trust.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? So therefore it is necessary to make sure that people are still trustworthy. And even that I tell people, I will test.
Right. That's the right way of putting it, right? Rather than just, like, out of the blue trying to test the trust of somebody who's been with you for a long
Like, it
time.
should
And
not be malicious. It should
yeah.
actually almost be by process.
Yeah. So is it fair to say that you build a process that validates these things every now and then, so people are also aligned that, like, जैसे fire drill होता है, now
Correct.
fire नहीं लगा तो भी fire drill तो करना ही पड़ता है, right?
करना ही
Every
पड़ता
now and then. So this is a kind of a drill. You have to go through that drill every now and then.
You do go through, and the point is you as the CEO are also subject to the same process. They can test you too.
Yes. So
Are
then
you
that it
still a
becomes,
trustworthy boss? Or
it's
have
not
you
just,
see, you know
it's
that
not just,
story, right? I don't want to name the company. I know the company. It's a Bitcoin startup.
yeah.
The promoters cashed out and the people got nothing. They made billions almost. It's a
Oh,
travel company. Okay. They made billions. People got peanuts. So are you still trustworthy as a CEO is also a very important question. The same concept is what is implemented in technology, in security. Zero trust is around that. Zero trust is essentially you prove your credentials every time you ask for something.
and doesn't matter who that is. It may be a CEO, a board member, or maybe a someone who is at the lower level, or, like, day-to-day operations guy. Right?
So zero trust is about that. Essentially, you set up your technology in such a way that the zero trust aspects are as friction free or pain free as possible. Because if it creates a friction, then people won't use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other concept is essentially you assume an access and a privilege based on your role at that time. So as a CEO, I say in my company, I am Chaprasi, I am also the CEO, I am also the CFO, I am the CMO also. Right? I'm sure that's true of you also. So as a sales head, I need access to my Salesforce implementation or whatever the funnel management I've implemented. I don't need access to it as the Chaprasi,
Yeah.
even though it's the same person. So it's role based. What you do essentially is you in technology you give tokens. It is timed out. Once that role, you assume that privilege and access for the duration of the role, and duration we're talking about minutes. When the role is executed, you come out, you no longer have the privilege.
Okay.
So when you go back in, you again have to this thing. So again, see, that's again, these two are related concepts. Zero trust and this are related concepts.
So by an example, like as a CEO, if I want to see the sales of last quarter, right? So I might go in and check out my sales, whatever sales stuff I have set up, like the platform, and I get my report, and that's it. My access is revoked because then I
Correct.
don't
You
need
do
it.
not have access to even log or change an opportunity.
Right.
As CEO, right? And you could have, see, again, the user management, etc., comes in the same
Yeah.
right? A lot of small companies I see, not even small, big companies also I see, people share logins because it is cheaper. I mean,
Yeah, that's the one thing that everybody does these days. Oh, चार लोगों का license लगेगा. Why not we get
one and share it.
one license and share it with four people,
Share
right?
it. Yeah.
And then the implication comes later on that the third or fourth guy does something which he was not supposed to do with that login,
And you
right?
can't figure out who it is.
Yeah, and then you can't figure out who it is because it's the same login, right?
So this is, see, always, see, my greatest skill as a cybersecurity person. There are probably millions of people more skilled than me in technology. Okay, more adept than me in technology, more uh, no agile than me in technology. My greatest value comes because I can translate a problem to the language a board understands. Right? I can frame it in business terms, and most startups don't understand this. So what if the data is lost? Okay, so what if I have a ransomware attack? How do you see? They look at it as a how do I execute my business? It's not about that. I'll give you an example of a small startup. It's not small; they're fairly big, but they're startups. They called me and said, "Sridhar, can you help? You were referred by somebody. Uh, I have had a ransomware attack, and I can't access anything. Okay, and payroll is going to happen. I think his customers are all big Volvo G. So can you help me?" So I said, "Yeah, let me see what is there." And I had a look at it. It was well locked down. I said, "Have you contacted the hacker?" I said, "I've actually paid 10 million rupees, dollars. No, I don't remember now. I think it's rupees. India company only. It was rupees. 10 million, 10 million comes to how much? At a crore, right?
Once year,
Uh,
yeah.
1 crore to the hacker. He gave me the key. It's not working.
Oh,
Okay. I said, Piyush, your host. There's nothing I can do because my this thing comes in before you get attacked. After you get attacked, I can only conduct a funeral. Right? I can only tell
okay.
you this is what happened. There's nothing much I can do. I said, you are on your own. I don't think I can help you. 2 hours later, he called me. He's a nice guy. He called me and said, Sridhar, I got lucky. One lady small company, right? One lady who went on maternity leave had taken a backup of the database about a month ago, so I could recover my data. Okay, so I did the usual gyan of, now do you understand why you have to have backup, why you have to have tested backups, blah, 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 blah. All that it could. And in the end, I asked him the question, did you stop and think why that lady had the database backup? She's going on maternity leave.
Yeah. What
Why
was the
does she
reason
need
to?
a database backup?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then it hit him. What the hell was she doing with it? Yes, his company was rescued because of that, but that's a gap. That's a vulnerability. Okay. I don't know, obviously, but she may have taken it for her own purposes. Maybe she was starting a company after that. Maybe she was going to go and approach the same customers for a. We have all seen this.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe sometimes they are doing it just for the sake of like having a backup, but someone might hack them, and then this all
Yeah, that's a
starts.
very charitable approach. But the point being, it was an unauthorized backup. He didn't know about it,
Yeah, that is the gap.
right? That is a serious issue. The company is still surviving. They're still doing well, but this is very tricky. In See, there's a lot of technical solutions which are there. That's why I said technology will take savior as 20-25% of the time. It's only people which are the weakest links. Like now, even for very critical things, if you look at it, uh, it is easier to compromise a person and get their credentials than to hack them,
Hmm.
right? If I really,
Right.
really wanted access, because then there is no trace.
Yeah. If once the credentials are given, then there is no trace
There's no
who
trace.
hacked it. Yeah. Exactly.
So that is the funda in that.
And also, Sridhar, like in small to medium enterprises these days, there's a lot of buzz about using cloud for everything, right? You have your emails on cloud, you have your documents on cloud, you have all your company related assets on cloud. You are using different SaaS products for managing your day to day operations. Now, how does cybersecurity and cloud come hand in hand, right? What are your suggestions?
Okay. See, fundamentally, I am a AWS security guy. Yeah, I understand security from AWS perspective. The what needs to be understood is that even AWS and all clouds is there's this perception that cloud is inherently more safe. That's not necessarily true. There is security off the cloud, security on the cloud, right? AWS or any cloud provider only guarantees the security of the cloud.
Off the cloud.
That's all. In the sense that their physical infrastructure, their setup in terms of preventing unauthorized access, that will work. Your and if they're giving a say managed service of a database thing, that will be secure. Okay, but if you have built an application on top of that, there's a shared responsibility model. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
That clearly specifies that is your responsibility, boss.
So it's like we are giving you infrastructure on cloud that
Yeah,
is secure.
if it is a base version, I'm
Yeah.
only responsible for the infrastructure security. I will guarantee one VM doesn't talk to the other VM.
But what's happening inside the VM, and if
It's
it
not
get,
problem.
if you open a couple of ports inside the VM and then basically something happens, that's not the
That's
responsibility
not
of the
AWS
provider.
clearly says it's not my problem. Again, if you got the VM as part of a managed service, then they say, yes, I will take care of that. But you still have to worry about the application layer security on top of that. Okay, so this is a concept people have to understand. It is fairly very clearly specified by AWS also. It's not rocket science. Clearly, you have to understand this. Having said that, all the principles of security still apply. I ask, people tell me, see, I'm safe. All my stuff is on SaaS. Two questions you have to ask your providers. One question is that what is the consequential damage he is signing up for, that SaaS provider? If you lose your business, what are you going to get back? If his infrastructure is compromised, SaaS provider, somebody breaks it and your data leaks out, what is he responsible for? To what extent is he liable? Have you even thought of it? Have you asked that question?
No one does that. No one does that, honestly.
Right? So now you are just because somebody said, boss, mate, I'll take care of it, no problem. Have you validated it? He'll throw us ISO 27000 certificate in your face. Because I advise my customers on the other side also. Right? But the point is the ISO certificate, I can buy an ISO certificate here today. Right? I'm sorry. But yeah, you can. Right? But so that by itself does not prove anything. You have to understand what are the limits of nobody reads contracts, including SaaS contracts. You sign the EULA without knowing anything.
Absolutely. That's a very huge long text. Nobody cares to read it. Just say
So
I
you
accept
read
and
it,
then
your
go on.
business. If you are signing up for Piyush, I have no problem. But Piyush, the creator, has to. Because you're distributing a podcast on Spotify. You have to read it. You have to know what the limits are. And reading a contract is a skill. And I am very this thing, what do you say? I tell it to a lot of my customers. I've screwed up enough in my companies that I'm an expert on contracts.
So it's really important to go through the
You
agreement or the
understand. I'm
contract.
not saying I don't think a Spotify is going to sit across a table
Yeah.
and negotiate with you. I agree. Not when you're Piyush, right? If you are, I don't know, Dalar Mehendi or whoever is the big shot nowadays, they may talk. Or if you're Taylor Swift, they'll talk. But for Piyush, you have no bargaining chips. But you need to understand the outline of what is being promised. Then you can cover for it. There's nothing which says you can't back up your data if you're on a SaaS. If tomorrow there's a ransomware attack on the SaaS product and you're, let's say, okay, they're on as a SaaS product also nowadays. If there is a ransomware attack on, what happens? Let us say it is problem. It is their mistake. They will give you money back. That month's subscription, even if they are very good, they'll give you 1 year's subscription back. What does that give you? It gives you nothing.
Yeah, your data is all lost.
Your data is lost. Your company is screwed.
Yeah.
Your customer is never going to trust you because you're not going to be able to pay your creditors. So you're screwed. What is the point getting 1 year's worth of subscription back? And Tally is probably perfectly within its right to say, boss, Piyush, something's wrong with your implementation. Only you have got screwed. Tally is still up. Right? It is entirely possible. If it is entirely Tally's problem, he's still going to give you only 1 year. If it is only spotted, few instances which have got compromised, you're only going to say, he may be sympathetic to you. That's about it. He'll help you recover. But if you have not got any backups anyway, you're screwed. Okay, and today the trend is egress now, decrypt later, which is what they are betting on currently is highly sensitive personal or financial data. If a hacker gets in, they take the data out. It is encrypted. Nobody is saying it's not encrypted. So encryption is good. You should do encryption. You should do whatever 256 or 158 bit encryption you do. What they are saying is in a year, 3 years, 5 years maximum, quantum computing is going to come, encryption is going to fail. I will decrypt at that time.
Oh, so it's a kind of a
Delayed
time
attack.
bomb kind of thing, right? It's going to explode couple of years later, maybe.
Yeah, and see, people don't. Your financial data, you may be worth a couple of crores more. That's all. Your financial data doesn't change. Your
Yeah,
bank account is not going to change,
yeah, exactly.
right? So that is the problem which people are not realizing, and these are statistics. Even with all this education, all this awareness of cybersecurity, which one was it? CloudFlare, CloudStrike, I think. CloudStrike's report on cybersecurity for 2024 was highlighting that it is almost 8 months before an intruder is detected. On
Oh, so in 8 months they can do so much of the damage or
there
pull
are
out
two
so
things.
much of the
One, they
data.
can do damage, they can egress data. You don't even know they are there.
Yeah.
Two, you keep backups for 6 months. Access logs you keep for 6 months. You don't even know how we got in. So even if you reinstall this thing, it'll come back in again. I mean, it's possible it'll come back in. My job is to scare people. That's why I say so.
So, what are your top three tips for small to medium enterprises, especially when using cloud?
Top three tips. One is take responsibility for your security. You understand what is your responsibility, what is provided by this cloud provider. You have to have a very clear idea about that. That is first thing. Second is uh, implement a proper PAM. PAM is privilege and access management. Okay. This need not be a very heavy tech thing. Okay. But the concept is important. You don't give privilege which is not required. You don't give privileges forever, ever to anybody. So, which means you will do typically access reconciliation. In fact, I tell my customers, and very few do it. I say, you remove all privilege access. Somebody who needs it will come back and shout at you. Leave it at that time. Right? Then at least you have weeded out things. And most of the time, people don't handle exits properly, transfers properly.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, I know a company, a financial management company, whose social media handles were with a intern who quit and went. It was still with the intern. They didn't have the intern doesn't give it, they don't have access to their social media. She has changed all the passwords. Okay.
Oh my God. And now you're
Okay. She
screwed.
was not okay. She was not malicious. She gave it all that is fine. It's a financial management company.
Yeah.
Okay. So you understand privilege and access
Yeah.
management. Very, very important this thing. The third thing is you do the hygiene stuff. Do backups, do disaster recovery, planning and testing. You have to do your business continuity and disaster recovery process. You have to test it every 6 months minimum. I mean, I'm happy if people do it once a year. Minimum, you have to do it for 6 months, every 6 months, because you should know how will you react. Do your people know how to react if inevitably there is a problem,
Yeah.
right? And you ask for three, I'm giving you a fourth one free. Buy three, get one free. You need to train. What I have seen is that almost all companies, including startups, for some reason, the senior management thinks all this is only for the junior guys. The senior management also needs to be trained. In fact, in my opinion, trained more, because what happens is whenever we run a phishing attack simulation on an organization, almost invariably it is the senior guys who click on that link, or more senior guys definitely click on that link than the junior guys, depending on the maturity of the organization. Because senior guys assume the IT guy has taken care of it, so it's valid to click on this.
Oh.
So they are the vector for vulnerability. They are also, their decisions affect the company. Like, for example, there are disclosure norms, right? In a disclosure scenario, how and what and to whom you communicate is very, very important. How CloudStrike handled that outage a year, 2 years ago now, I think. You remember that, right? Everybody died, basically.
Yeah.
How did they handle it? Think back about it. They handled it, in my opinion, they handled it fairly well. They were giving, periodic briefings. They confessed up to the problem. They didn't say, nah, 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 it's the airline ka problem. And they figured it out. They also put in put in place processes to prevent it. Companies have also figured out that, you don't roll out a patch or a fix en masse. You do it in a rolling fashion, so that if something, so everybody has learned a little bit from that. The point being, the senior management typically does not understand. They're not okay. Sorry, I won't say they don't understand. I'll take that back. They don't realize that they need training on these things also. What you train is how you execute. In fact, we partner with somebody to do something called a cyber range.
Okay.
Cyber range is essentially you're in a knock or a SOC setup where there's your security operations center we set up. Then we inject problems. Okay. The actual cyber range, what happens is your stock price is there on one screen there. Okay. Your current data is, that dashboard is there. And there are 5, 6 such dashboards. So the senior management also sees, if I take this decision, say for example, I will communicate half an hour later. It is illegal in the US, for example, to pay ransom. Okay, but they decide it is important. It's a very tricky decision. It's in Indian terms, it's a Dharam Shankar, right? Because do I lose the company or do I comply with the law?
Yeah.
It's almost a problem they always have. Okay, and it's a decision you have to take. And if I pay a ransom, I've committed an illegal act, but I got my company back, maybe. Right? So these things they have to train themselves when there is no attack. That's very important. And that goes for, see, you are reasonably mature in a sense of you've run a company, you've worked in a largest corporation. So you understand some of these things. That you don't muck around with IT, you don't muck around with tax.
Yeah.
You will always pay tax, whatever happens. Those things you don't muck around. Startup founders who are techies also think just because they are techies, they are good. They are good in technology.
Yeah.
Right? They think they cannot make a mistake. I'm smart. But if you go to a magic show and you talk to a magician, they will tell you it is the most difficult thing to do magic for children because they don't have any assumptions. Smart people are the easiest to fool. And that applies to cybersecurity.
So that is a kind of, like, it's a art of persuasion. You are basically a very talented techie guy, but somebody can persuade you and basically take you to a path where you will not realize you're going there
Correct.
and you end up doing a mistake, right?
No, you are seeing so much in the news, right? Of
Yeah,
that scam. What is that scam? Digital arrest
digital,
scam.
yeah.
All of them are smart. They are not dumb. I mean, they're losing 2-3 crores. Yeah, I don't have 2-3 crores to lose. Forget about.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Sridhar, coming back to your journey, basically, it's been a very long and beautiful journey, and I'm sure you must have gone through the chaos all the time and then finally find the clarity. So, today, how do you define clarity?
I'm not entirely sure I can define clarity. Uh, for two reasons. Clarity implies seeing over the horizon. Nobody can do that. At any point, you can only take decisions based on the data availability. Okay. What you need to be good at and uh, train yourself again is that one, take the best possible decision with the data available, and be quick to change that decision if you made a mistake. Right? Both are important because you can't keep waiting forever for to make a decision. I mean, that as a entrepreneur. Equally important is the willingness to pivot.
So, basically, take decisions fast and don't, if something goes wrong, don't stick to it, move on, and then basically,
Slightly differently, I will say it. You need to set the go no go when you take the decision, not when the no go data hits you.
okay, okay.
Because if you take the decision at the time the data hits you, you are liable to be emotional, right? I
Yeah,
have see. Remember what I told about that Tirukkural, right?
yeah.
Once you are executing, you don't think. Part of that no think is the triggers for go ahead and stop are built in. You when the trigger hits, it's like a stop loss. That's it. That decision will be taken. I will rethink. I may recommit to the decision, but I will take the decision of stopping. Or if again, I don't know if I don't invest in this. I invest in the stock market. I don't speculate on stock market. Right. Uh, Similarly, I keep telling I always define my greed level upfront. If the stock hits that point, I will sell. That's it.
Doesn't matter if it goes much higher also.
If everybody is saying, I will cash out, I will reinvest if I want. Again, it's a considered decision at that point.
Yeah.
So that deliberation is very important for any. There's not a cybersecurity thing. It's a very important thing for anybody. And the last thing definitely is to be ability to learn. Right? Life is changing so fast. I mean, in the first 20 years of my career, I got a new degree, a proper college degree every 5 years. Okay. Uh, Even now, I've pivoted into privacy. I pivoted into certification management. So you have to be willing to learn. It's not. I mean, the compiler I wrote and the compiler my daughter is writing today have nothing to do with each other.
It's so big difference. Yeah. Yeah. And Sridhar, what would you want fellow entrepreneurs to take away from your story or journey?
Yeah. Very difficult. I don't have a glib answer to that. But okay, I'll give you a I did a I did a part of a PhD some time ago. So another friend of mine came. He was also in corporate and said, "Should I also do a PhD?" At the time, yes. We talked. Then I told him, "See, listen, Piyush. Let's call him Piyush. Okay. Piyush, I think you are running away from your corporate problems. PSC will not work for you. You have to like the struggle. PhD is all about struggle. Okay. Same thing applies to entrepreneurship. You are not doing entrepreneurship because it'll give you money, because it'll give you fame. You're not going to do that. Entrepreneurship, you have to intrinsically like that journey and have the ability to take risks. So I won't consider myself a very top draw entrepreneur because I am fairly risk. I'm a time brand, so I'm risk averse, right? You've seen the kind of things
Yeah,
I've done also, right? The entrepreneurship is a perfect way of managing my risk. Not today, I'm pushing away business because I don't have the ability to commit to it, commit the capital to it. I don't have the ability, I don't have the willingness to commit to this thing. So that risk-taking ability, you have to have a clear idea whether you have. If you don't have it, don't get into entrepreneurship. It's not going to work. So you have to enjoy the journey. You have to have the ability to. That risk should excite you. The risk scares you, you won't. Or you will do something like me.
that's a beautiful insight. Like, you should have the ability to take the risk, and risk should excite you. It's been an amazing conversation with you, Sridhar, and I'm sure our listeners will get a lot of good insights about cybersecurity, especially the small to medium enterprises, and they will learn about what things we need to keep in mind, especially about the people. Technology is one side, but about the people is also a very important side. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Piyush. I enjoyed this conversation. I don't know how 1 hour went by, more than an hour went by. Thank you. I enjoyed it. Have a great future. We'll keep in touch, I'm sure.
Thank you. So this was Sridhar's story and some points about cybersecurity. If you like this episode, please do subscribe to our channel, and in the comments below, let us know what we have done and give us feedback so basically we can improve it. I will see you next week with another interesting story.